Everyone. Welcome to our MusicX version 1.1 webinar. It's about a year since we released MusicX and we've been working hard on lots of updates and we'll be sharing those with you today. My name's Trudy Green. I'm the manager of the Hydrology Partnerships area at eWater and I will facilitate today's webinar. First, I would like to acknowledge that I'm hosting this webinar on the lands of the Ngunnawal people. I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all meet today and pay my respects to any First Nations people attending this webinar. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, celebrate the diversity of First Nations peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of Australia. Thank you very much for joining us today. We will start with a short introduction from Ashish Day, the Executive Manager of our products area, followed by a demonstration of a number of the features of MusicX version 1.1 by Dr. Mukta Subkota. Then we will have a question and answer session, which I will facilitate. To participate in that, please post questions in the Q&A box. And feel free to chat, make comments to yourselves in the chat box. So without any further ado from me, I will hand over to Ashish. Ashish, we can't hear you. Perhaps just check you're not muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, probably I was muted. Okay, thanks, Judy. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'd like to present a quick background of our MusicX development plan and where we are up to so far. So go to the presentation mode. So music has got very strong history. As you probably know, the first version of music was released in 2001. In 2014, we first released Musiclink as a major enhancement. Currently, we have version 6.3 that was released several years ago. The main strength of music is its extensive research, significant calibration and validation through our CRC. It is easy to use and fit for purpose software. It has dedicated treatment node with simplified treatment algorithm. But there are challenges in music classic. You probably know that, such as outdated code base, parameter algorithms, and etc. are hard-coded within the code. Number of pollutants are limited to 3, also 4. Single rainfall runoff method, single pollutant export, and etc. etc. To overcome those challenges and limitation, and to make it more flexible and extendable with new science and knowledge, we have rewritten the whole code base into a new, robust, modern platform, same as our source software. This completely rewritten software called MusicX that was first released in May 2020. Since then, of course, we are gathering feedback from our user and trying to incorporate these things one by one. So the version 1 of MusicX included all the key functionality what we had in Music Classic 6.3. We have thoroughly tested and verified more than 100 different models with different size, scale, and complexities. And we are very satisfied that MusicX is producing very identical result of Music v6.3. Now in stage 2, we are releasing version 1.1 that incorporated Musiclink and all the feedback we have received over the last 12 months. Our ultimate goal is to make it more flexible and capable of fully integrated with other software, especially with our source and urban developer. Would like to offer the capability of modeling additional pollutants, additional treatment node, additional rainfall runoff method, additional pollutant export method, and many more. We are currently working toward those goals. The key enhancement of this version 1.1 is the Musiclink. The Musiclink functionalities are now fully incorporated within MusicX. I'm sure most of you know what is Musiclink, but just to summarize, Musiclink can incorporate any specific music modeling guideline, modeling parameter set, DA assessment criteria, and also DA assessment process and etc. within Musiclink. So everything will be inbuilt within the MusicX. And Musiclinks brings the authorities, developer, modeler together within Music. It provides consistency in model building process and assessment process. It creates rapid assessment platform and streamline the development application process. So Musiclink is exactly same what we have seen in Music Classic. So we implemented Musiclink within MusicX exactly in the same way. So you just need to open the Musiclink template that you're working on, build your model, click the assessment button, and it will be producing a report like you can see on this screen. Mukta will be taking you through a demo to show how it really works in MusicX. And now over to Turi and then Mukta, I guess.
Thanks, Ashish. I think we will just jump straight into Mukta giving us our live demo.
Thank you, Trudy, and good afternoon, everyone. Next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to show you a demonstration on how MusicX works, and also within that, what features we do have now, especially Musiclink and some other features that we have fully incorporated in MusicX. So to start with that, first of all, I'd like to take you through a very simple music model building itself. So I'm going to build a very simple music model here very quickly. So as you can see here, I do have all my notes, required notes here, source notes for representing catchment. So I have two source nodes here. Then from this source node, this sub-catchment, I'm going to take a runoff generated from the catchment to my soil, as you can see here. And then from this another sub-catchment, I'd like to take my runoff generated from that sub-catchment to my sedimentation basin. Also for sedimentation basin, as we all know, we need to have some things maintained. So for example, we need to have the detention time should be of certain value. So I'm just changing that. And as you can clearly see, these all the parameters here are exactly like what we used to offer in our Music Classic. Now, what I want to do is runoff generated from these two. I want to take these through biotension. So very quickly here, I do have my biotension. Then again, runoff generated from biotension going to my wetland here. And for wetland, again, I want to just edit few parameters here so that we can maintain a few things there, especially detention time, which is very, very important. Also, I'd like to show a few extra recorders that we have now available in Music X. So for that, I'm going to use this reuse as well. So just putting some demand here, very small, and then clicking on OK. So, and finally, this is going to my receiving node. Also, just for comparison purpose, I'm going to have another source node here to represent the pre-development condition and changing this to forest and then making it and all other parameters as it is and just finishing the model that particular catchment node. And now, as you can see here, I very quickly build one model. We also need climate data for running the model. So I'm going to use this Melbourne climate template, which is already available here. So very quickly here. So now my model is ready for running. Before running, as I mentioned earlier, we do have few recorder availables, especially on water level storage. That's what we got some feedback from our users. That's why we implemented that now. So I'm just quickly going to show you here. So I can just like record few of them. Also, I'd like to record a few other things here for receiving notes, just to show you a few things. So I want to see this nitrogen load here. So that's all. Now, once I do that, I'm going to run my model. And once model run is finished, within MusicX Results Manager will be opening automatically. And you can now go and have a look at your various run results. So for this particular model, I'm interested on what treatment. So this is the one treatment run effectiveness. So it's like up to the level. We are getting very good treatment here. Also, as we mentioned earlier, like there are few recorder available. So I like to show you those recorders as well. As you can see here, now within wetland, you can see what is the storage and what is the water level. So if it is something you are interested of, now you can actually get this data as well. Also, there's like, if you want to compare between like different notes, you can do that. And it is much more handier than what we used to offer in Music Classic. As you can clearly see, this has got more like not only receiving notes, you can compare actually various notes as well. So this particular example, I'm now comparing how contaminants, like as you can see here, this receiving 9 is pre-development condition. This is my post-development condition. And you can clearly see how contaminants are increasing, like, more than 10 times. Somewhere it's like, very, very highly increasing. So you can clearly compare this sort of things as well. Also, you can compare a few more things here, just like earlier we say, okay, nitrogen, this is the nitrogen load that used to come to my receiving water body before after development happened. And let's go and have a look. So this is like, even after treatment, still you can see like this nitrogen load is still a lot. So this is what we can actually have a look at these overall results. Next thing is like the main feature. What we wanted to showcase today was like, now we have fully featured Musiclink. So that is what I'm going to show you next. All right. So for creating Musiclink, what we need is like, you have to go and click on Musiclink Scenario. Once you do that, you'll get all the authorities that do have Musiclink with us. And I'm taking an example of City of Sydney. This has got certain template based on their soil type. So I'm going to use one of it and building a model here. And for this one, actually, what I would like to do is I want to actually use the same, this model, and just run it very quickly. So I'm just going to copy this and then bringing this in my new scenario here, which is basically my, so I'm just bringing the same model, but as you can see here, this is a Musiclink scenario. Now I would like to run this model here and see what happened if like I run this model here. If like guidelines might be different for this particular catchment, how that works. So let me run the model and we can further have a look how it will pick up few parameters there. So once I run the model, especially like what we did here was I created a model just simply based on some default guidelines that I had in from the music model itself. Then I just copy and pasted this model in my Musiclink template. So my major concern here is whether after bringing it here, Musiclink can give me find out like whether like this is according to the guidelines or not. That's what I'm going to show you now. All right. And you can clearly see like that particular earlier model, we could also meet like our treatment trend effectiveness. So let's have a look at it. Now I'm going to this MusicX link. So you can see here, this is my report here. And then as you can see here, in terms of this TN reduction, TP reduction, total sustained soil reduction, it's meeting all the criteria. But however, if you go down here, there are so many parameters not actually meeting. So it is not meeting the guideline, what guidelines say. Let's see what are the parameters. So I'm now starting from here. So these are the soil parameters that particular authority is telling you to use these parameters and we are not using. So this is just picking up all of these parameters. Okay, these are not meeting. So maybe you have to go back and change your model. Also for sedimentation basin, this particular council is saying, okay, this is the maximum value you can use, but what I'm using is quite higher than what this particular authority has recommended me to use. Now let's create a report. That's what we have to submit for Musiclink Council. So once I create a report and then try to export, it is giving me, oh, you must provide a comment to explain why some of the parameters are outside the range. So now what I'm going to do, okay, this is test. And then after providing the comment, it allow me to actually create a report. So then it gives me, okay, this is for this particular authority. It gives me like what data I run for the model for, at what time step. Also, I can go and have a look at, okay, there are some comments there. Definitely some of the parameters are outside of the range. Then I can now finally go to my failing parameters. As you can see here, there are a lot of failing parameters. These are not meeting the criteria for this particular authority. So I definitely need to go back and change my model, or I have to actually provide the justification like why these are not meeting the criteria that particular authority is telling. As you can see here, this is exactly like what Music Classic used to offer. So now this feature is here fully incorporated within MusicX. Next thing I'd like to show you is like, as you can see here, a few things like what I explained is first thing, we had few records available. Also Musiclink, that is the major thing what we have in this version, is fully available here. Also there are other few suggestions we got from our customers, so that is also here now. One of them was adding notes. So now you can go and like just simply add note. So this is some information I want to put for this particular source node, and then this will be like giving you that information is here. So now we can like simply put, so you can see here there is some notes coming as you put the notes here. So that feature is again available. Also one more thing we have in this particular version is we get some feedback from users like we want monthly pattern. So we now have monthly pattern available for our evapotranspiration data as well. So let me just quickly show you. So this one here in this particular one, so rainfall I'm keeping as it is, but for PT, what I can do is instead of my time series, I can simply go and type it here. Let me just import quickly one file here. As you can see, I have some monthly pattern as a CSV file. So I can simply bring, if I have some data from outside, as a monthly pattern. And then now I can run this model very easily. So this is the another feature we do have now in MusicX. Also, along with these things, we have fixed like few other things, few box and so on. So these are the main features So you can clearly see like now my model running, finished running. So I run this particular one with monthly pattern of potential evapotranspiration, and it perfectly works here. Yeah. So these are the main features that we have now in MusicX. If you have any questions, anything, please feel free to ask. So that's all from me.
Thanks, Mukta. Whilst perhaps you have your presentation there, we have a question from Michael. I'm sure I can see his last name if I looked. When you copied the catchment information across scenarios, it retained the old rainfall runoff values. If you had set it up from scratch, would the rainfall runoff have been like Musiclink was in 6.3? So I guess whether you had done something to make it easier to demonstrate today versus how it would work.
This one, how I did was like, if you within MusicX, you can do two things. One is copy scenario itself. If you copy the scenario itself, then it will also copy your climate data, the attached climate data. But this one, when I use Musiclink, what I did was I created a scenario as a Musiclink scenario, but then only copy the model. So what I did, I just went to this scenario and then just like, this is very simple to call, just like did like that, copy, and then I went to another scenario and just like simply did pasting. So very, very easy here. And in this way, I'm just copying the nodes model itself, but not the climate data. But as I mentioned earlier, there is also one option here of like, if I highlight any scenario and copy scenario, then it will not only copy the model, but also the climate template, whatever we have there.
Excellent. A question from Dale Brown. It's good to see monthly patterns added. Are the reuse demand distributed by PET or PET? Maybe I've got, or rain inputs now operational as well.
Yeah, that is now annual demand. We had a bug, like as we said earlier, so that's working now. So you can try it as well, Dale. So it's perfectly working.
Sure. And Morgan Walter asks, is MusicX with Musiclink version available now? And I can answer that I believe it is.
It is. It is. It's in Toolkit. If anyone wants to download it, already available there.
Fantastic. Deepak asks, can you copy to and from an earlier version? I assume that's Music 6 point something or other into this MusicX.
From Music Classic to MusicX, not directly, but what you can do is, if you do have Music Classic, you can convert that file into MSF file, and then there is an option of importing music, like those files as an MSF importer, and where you can bring that file and then run in MusicX.
Okay. Francis Lane asks, do rainwater tanks work now?
Yes, it does.
Excellent. Francis, I'll get to your second question in just a minute. Pierre asks, can MusicX calculate and export stream erosion index results directly?
This is stream erosion index. I really need to check that one. But however, what I think is that is not 100% what I'm saying. But if you are calculating that based on a flux file earlier that used to be available in Music Classic, Results Manager is like, we use actually Results Manager feature in flux file. So I think that should be here as well. But as I have not tested like by myself, I can't like 100% guarantee it, but I think it should.
Sure. Mukta, I can add to that on. So the what used to work in Music Classic, basically the same result manager. You can filter two different type of time series. Minus the threshold, you could get the estimation index. So the same mechanism will be working even in current version of MusicX. So I believe our answer is yes.
Yeah, so this is transform here, as what Rahi said. So
Yeah, no, that's okay, Mukta. It is working. That's it. Yeah, that's the answer.
Sure. Ashish, I'll let you answer. We often get asked about updating pollutant nodes and treatment train effectiveness. I'll let you answer that question from Francis, and then we'll get down to some of those other more detailed questions.
Okay, no, thanks, Julie. No worries. So yeah, I saw the question. The question is whether the recent science has been accommodated or not. So quick answer, if I shortly say, I'll say yes. The default guideline what we have in music is a New South Wales recent music modeling guideline, and that came from extensive research, as you understand. But through the Musiclink, you can have many different types of land use type, maybe 5, 6 different land use type, different types of development site like residential, commercial, and what different council doing, they basically assessing what parameter will be suitable for them, and they are putting their value. So like we got 16 different council, they all different. So, but what we're using as default, that's based on New South Wales music modeling guideline. And this is the parameter that what we will be calibrating and validating. And because there is no like a single science for that, it's all varies location to location. So I would strongly recommend you do calibration and verification. But I would say the value what we have, that is well accepted value in the industry.
Thanks, Ashish. All right, another question. Is it possible to change the rainfall inputs halfway through modelling, or do you need to create a new model every time you want to change the rainfall?
yeah, I can take that question, Trudy. We can change it anytime. So we can actually, like if you see in Music Classic, you need to have your climate template loaded before you do anything. But within MusicX, you can have your template at the beginning of the model building, or in between, at the end, and after running model. If you want to see, okay, this is not the template I want, you can easily change, go back and easily change.
Excellent. That sounds very convenient. Have the model simulation times been reduced in the newer version of MusicX?
Yes, we have worked a bit on that. So especially we had a few issues with when we did have like annual reuse in a pattern form. So it used to take a bit longer time, but now that has been fixed.
Excellent. I know you all like fast run times. How would you model on-site detention tanks, especially with complex weir walls and detention capabilities? Currently, there's only a detention basin which provides limited input parameters. If you, we can maybe take that on notice if it's a bit tricky. It sounds like it might require some creative thinking.
That's right, Trudy. So the concept is exactly same what we used to do in Music Classic. We have not changed any concept, but we can explain this thing later out of that session.
Okay, thanks. Can you generate a model summary report within MusicX like you could in Music 6.3? And if so, can you show how? I'll let Mukta let me know if that's an easy thing to show, or whether that's perhaps something we should put up on our community forum for you all to see.
It's not offered at the moment, but we are working towards that.
Excellent, thanks. Any items rejected or non-compliant parameter can be changed default values to council standard without doing it manually. So I guess that's asking if something is rejected because it's not meeting the standard, can you override it?
Not at the moment, like directly through the report, but that's what like we also thought of, like, you know, we need to implement that at some point of the time. Not at the moment, like you can't do it in the report itself and then model will be changed. Not at the moment, but that's our plan.
Okay. This one might be for Ashish. Do you ever plan on stopping providing version 6.3?
Yes, definitely at some stage we may need to consider that option, but we don't have actually any solid deadline. As of yet, we'll keep version 6.3 as a transitioning version as long as it is required, but we really strongly recommend everyone to come on board with the MusicX. That will be our main focus from now moving forward.
And I guess as you showed today, it's got, you know, so many of the same features plus more.
Yep.
Can you now import DWGs/DXFs? I hope that means something to one of you two, as georeferenced backgrounds in MusicX.
Not at the moment, so we can't add background image at the moment, but that is something we'll be again working on.
Sure.
Yep.
Perhaps this might be something else we should provide some tips on the forum, but following on from the previous question about versions, if you have MusicX that have been provided with earlier version files, how do you transfer them? So an FAQ perhaps somewhere?
Yeah, so as mentioned earlier, you have to first of all get that as an MSF file. So you can use Music Classic to export that particular XQZ file as an MSF file. Then you can import that file into MusicX as an MSF file.
Can a MusicX model be opened with Music 6.3? I would say no, but that's my guess.
Yeah, no, that's right. Not backward things. Yeah, it is only forward. That's right, Judy.
Okay. Deepak asks, what other parameters are we looking to put into MusicX?
Currently, like as I mentioned in my,
I guess it's currently or a wish list.
Yeah, no, that's right. In future, of course, we'll have a lot of extra things. This is our goal, and that's the whole reason why we actually converted this thing to new platform. So like additional pollutant, additional treatment node, and etc. That will come in future.
Okay. Another question. Within X version 1.1, can we now edit the advanced parameters? For example, K, C star, CSTR, I guess that's constituents of some sort, within treatment nodes, or are they locked?
Trudy, I can take that.
Okay.
We could edit those parameters, not directly, indirectly in earlier version as well. So still it's not directly editable, but there is a way to do so. So there is like this scenario input sets option where you can go and then actually edit those parameters. But at the moment, like not directly editable, but if you want to run with some extra parameters, you can definitely do that. So what I suggest you is, like, if someone is interested, please send us email in our support, or you can even put this in community forum and I can write there like how to do that.
I can add something in here just to let everyone know. So this is what we have done purposely, because we are transitioning through music to MusicX. We don't want to see that result variation and etc. is happening because of that edit of that advanced parameter. So that's the reason we didn't offer this thing directly right now, but there is a way to do it if we really want to do it.
Okay. Adrian asks, where do you download the update from? Say Toolkit, but maybe that's not right.
Yes.
Yeah, Toolkit, yep.
Yeah, it's already there, so you can go to Toolkit and download it.
Just go to the eWater Toolkit website and you'll be able to do that. We might skip over the main benefits from 6.3 to MusicX and come back to that, because there's quite a few things in there. Will the command line functionality be made available so that we can help validate a broader suite of models against Music 6.3?
I think like that question should be answered by Jeff Davis, so we can note of that.
Mukta, I think I should say that the command line functionality is basically to bulk modeling and etc. The structure what we have for source and the MusicX is basically similar thing. If we need to offer, we can offer it, but at this moment it's just the standalone software. Of course, it will be working as a plugin within source if someone really want to use this thing within source, but it's a standalone at this moment.
So Ashish, perhaps while we have you there, you've been around the music world for quite a while. What do you think the main benefits from MusicX over Music Classic are?
The benefit, outside benefit start from here. So the limitation I mentioned about Music Classic, it was almost difficult to maintain this thing for another 5-10 years because of the legacy code base, everything hard coded, hard to difficult to modify things and etc. So that's the reason why we had to modify everything into new code base. Now, currently what we're offering in MusicX is actually same. So I would not say you will be getting a lot of extra benefit in current version of Music, but it's a replication of the Music Classic, but in a nicer way, especially the result presentation, input set and etc. has been significantly improved from interface point of view, but moving forward, it will be much, much better than Music Classic. So that's our goal, but this is the fastest stage what we have done.
Sure. This is quite an interesting question here. Could you use MusicX to estimate sediment transport from landslides to ocean? For example, the recent storms in Dili and Timor-Leste.
Sediment loading rate, yes, you can calculate what sort of sediment loading coming from your catchment, what sort of sediment is accumulated within your treatment device, and how much of sediment going to your receiving water body, it could be river or ocean, whatever. Yes, you can estimate this thing.
Could you do that, I guess, taking a guess at perhaps those circumstances where there's no treatment, but there's just been a massive input of sediment? Could MusicX be used in that case? Maybe that's more of a question.
Well, I need to understand the question first. Like, first of all, if there is a deposition within your river system or with your conveyance system, definitely Music is not the product will be giving you that deposition. So the deposition, removal, and etc., we only track through the treatment device. If it is not a treatment device, if it's going through a river system or your different types of channel and pitch pipe system, we don't really calculate how much of accumulation there. We only calculate accumulation when there is a treatment device, for example, soil system or sedimentation basin.
Yeah, and eWater's tools are about the land, not so much ocean water quality. So if that's where your receiving water was, that would be an issue. Are we looking to integrate GIS at some point?
Yes, of course, definitely. Like previously, there was a GIS question like a coordinate system, AutoCAD, and etc. We have that capability within our source, and Music is exactly in the same platform. Our catchment modeling is purely based on GIS coordinate, and in future we will be accommodating that function, of course, as a for the advanced music modeling group. Yeah.
Sure. Are there routing functions within links?
Mukta, is it only no routing at this moment?
Yeah, no routing at this moment.
Yep, so I can add to that on. Yes, as 99% of music model are using no routing, so that's why that is what we have done. But in source, we got different types of routing, and we'll be migrating this thing. Even in Urban Developer, we have
already actually started working on that area, like for source and that plugin option. We do have like now few routing options available, but that is not in a standalone version.
Okay, let me finish that on. So, and in Urban Developer also, we have a kinematic routing, which is very applicable for a small scale application. In future, we might be incorporating this thing in Music.
Sure. Okay. Another question from Francis Lane. Is there an easy way to do a gross check on the catchment area reflected in the model? So I guess that might be a quick check on.
Mukta, Musiclink, of course you can, but is there any other option?
No.
Yeah, in Musiclink you can, of course, for sure. If it is a Musiclink project, in the report you will see the total catchment area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dale asks, are there plans for MusicX to be able to read files generated by the stochastic climate library?
Yes, Dell. Yes, that's one of the objective again. Yes, and these sort of things will be very easy for us to incorporate because we don't need to really invent a new science. It is already there in source. So we just need to populate and migrate this thing across music.
Sure. Are we thinking about adding a built-in feature with MusicX that can open an old music file?
Well, that is MSF building process, I guess. But if it is something else, then we have to think why the existing one will not be working. Basically, if we click on MusicX MSF import, you start your project through this, and then it will be offering you to select the file. I think that is sort of like a direct import, in my opinion.
Okay. Another question from Dale. Will the advanced parameters and the previously hard-coded bioretention parameters be made accessible to better support calibration and introduction of new science?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, Del, that is right. And also when it will be open for plugin and etc., people can alter the existing algorithm through the plugin. And that was one of the motivation behind MusicX, I would say.
Yeah. So I guess related to that, when do we plan on releasing guidance on how to develop a plugin for MusicX? Some people out there keen to do more.
Good question. So look, at this moment, I think a couple of hundred people using MusicX, but definitely we want to see more people now migrated into MusicX, and then once we see, okay, so everyone on board, or pretty much 80–90% people are on board, then we'll be slowly adding all this extra thing that is not available in Music Classic.
Okay. I'm not entirely sure what this question means, but hopefully one of you two do. Can you have any background image at all in MusicX?
That question we already answered. Like at the moment, we can't add background image, but like.
Okay, maybe I missed that answer. Sorry about that. Can we give a brief explanation of the differences between source music and urban developer?
Yes, I can do that. So source is a rainfall runoff model where you can do modeling for, like, bigger river system or catchment. Then urban developer, it is mainly for alternative water supply systems. So when you have your urban demand made by recycled water by third pipe or generator tank, so this is basically for meeting your alternate water demand with alternative water supplies. And music, as you know, music is mainly for stormwater treatment. And within combination, so what our goal is, if you do have some bulk water system, for example, that is supplying some of the water to your urban node somewhere, then we want to integrate what sort of alternative water supplies it is getting from our urban developer node, urban developer model, and also from some of the water reuse can come from our music model. And then finally, it will be like creating less requirement of main water supply from the river system. And that's what is the another goal, like what we are working towards integration, having all of them together.
Can music be used in other countries? I believe so.
Yes, that's the answer to it.
Thank you. I guess obviously everywhere has their own standards, but certainly they can be adapted.
Yeah, it has been used as well, so.
Sure. This question may need a little bit more background. Can you clarify on hydrology and hydraulics on the sediment loading to treatment node?
Well, yeah, that's right, Judy. We need to understand the question first. So hydrology and hydraulics is totally different, as you understand. When you talk about sediment transport, then it is related to hydrology because it depends on the velocity, shear stress, many things. But definitely music is not the product which is considering all of these factors. Music is more like a generation based on some assumption, and that's purely based on really hydrology.
Okay. When will there be tutorials on MusicX? The website has Music 6.3 training materials. So I know Mukta has been very active in delivering MusicX transition training on our online training programs.
Yeah.
I imagine it's just time and resources to get some extra things done when it comes to tutorials on the website.
Yeah, we do have online guide though for our MusicX as well. So
Yep.
we are still working on some of it, but then it's still like, basic things are already there.
Yeah.
So that's documentation that people can play with themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And MusicX transitioning training course, again, very, very short course. Basically, the people who are already knowledgeable about music. It's a 4-hour course. If you really can, yeah, still you can come to the training course.
Yep, it's online, pretty straightforward. Do it
Yep.
from wherever you are.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we have now gotten through all the questions in the chat and the Q&A. So I'll give that a minute, but I think we are probably done. Cool. All right, well, thank you everyone for attending today. We really appreciate your interest and your questions in MusicX. I have recorded today's webinar and I will pop it up on the eWater website and YouTube channel in the next week or so. And you can go back and have a look more if you like. So thank you, and we'll be in touch shortly about more exciting things in MusicX. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.